All right. All right. I got nothing. Where's my voice at? Excuse me. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, roundabout this time. Today was supposed to start straight up at 2 p.m. Maybe you got the notification. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. There were like 2 shows scheduled. I only scheduled 1. And somehow it duplicated it, and there were 2, so I had to cancel those. And then it was just a mess. So anyway, 2:10, not too bad. Yesterday, I think it was like what, 3 or something that we started. So 2:10 is not bad. Welcome everybody to the Rant. I do this every day, as I say. It's hot topics, current events, a little bit about today. Do the show in 4 different segments because I perform it as a stream of consciousness, which is just me talking. Some interaction with the chat room. But it's really just me talking about the day. The 4 segments, the 4 quarters that create the entire show. First one, we look back at history of this day. It is the 9th day of July. We look back at all the things that have helped shape our understanding of the 9th day of July. Segment 2, we do birthdays, right? Yeah, birthdays. Birthdays is segment 2. People having birthdays, do we like them or do they suck? That's what we go through in quarter 2. Quarter 3, I'm distracted. I've got on the TV in front of me, I've got CBS News 24/7 at cbsnews.com streaming. And there's 3 people on camera. The story is about Vladimir Putin. They're talking about Trump and Putin. And all 3 people are Chinese. I don't know what that says. I ain't got a problem with it. They're all beautiful Chinese ladies. But the anchor seems to be Asian. Chinese. I shouldn't say Chinese. Pugs, it ain't the 80s. You can't just lump all Asians into one group. You must be so worldly that just upon looking at someone, you can tell whether or not they're from the Philippines or Thailand. That's the expectation. They're all Chinese. Chinese is the biggest country there. Whatever. They're all Chinese to me. Anyway, I was just distracted by that. Because I'm old enough to remember when Connie Chung being put on the CBS Evening News was a big deal. Now here we are, CBS News 24/7. It's all Chinese ladies. And I think I speak for all white, middle-aged men in America. We like that. We got no problem with Chinese ladies. Hey, Joe. See what I did? I just made it offensive. All right, I won't be distracted by that. Quarter 3 is deads. I told you about quarter 1, this day in history. Quarter 2, birthdays. Quarter 3, deads. Quarter 3 is dead people who died on this day, celebrities and that kind of thing. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? Okay. That brings us to quarter 4. That's just whatever the hell I want to talk about today. That's whatever is happening in the news. Got a lot of stuff happening in the news. Let's say hi to the chat room. Peter's here. Hi, Peter. Peter says, Julie Chen hosts Big Brother. Yeah, she's pretty. I like her. It's not just about being pretty. I also enjoy trying to think of an unattractive newswoman. Sarah Seidner. There, I said it. I just put Sarah Seidner in the list of news chicks who aren't just there because they're hot. Anyway, see, stream of consciousness. Sometimes I'm going to get myself in trouble. Hi, KB. KB saying, hey, oh, he's here. Mama B. Would you look at her? One of my favorite people on the planet, Mama B. Was thinking about Mama B's son the other day. I owe him a phone kizzle about a question I have. But anyway, hi, Mama B. We also got the sports bras. They're here. One of them, anyway. Keith can't be bothered. CC's here. He represents the sports bras in spirit and in, presence. He's here. Tonight, we're going to bring back Shock House. Ooh, that's right. We're going to do a little show we like to call Shock House. It's just me hanging out with some boys, and we just talk about stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about a couple of things that I want to get into right here at the top of this show, and then we'll expand upon tonight on Shock House. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever. I don't even know how to tell people whatever. Shock House. It's all a part of the Pugs Moran YouTube thing. Ugh. Hey, why aren't you more successful? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. So we're going to do that tonight. We're going to record that tonight. So here's a couple of things I want to talk about right here at the start of the show, because I like to talk about what I'm watching. My most favorite time is the 3 hours that I go home and I just get to lay there and just watch TV for like 3 hours before of course, that would be better if I didn't have to walk the dog in the middle of that. Which, an update, you guys. I got to tell you about this. So yesterday I told you that like we apparently one of the flood victims, one of the little kids is like from my neighborhood or something. And like people were starting to put out things yesterday. Like some people had some ribbons and all that. And other people had a picture, you know, and all that. And it's just very, very touching and very nice. Well, I wake up today at 8 o'clock to take the dog out. So I was out at about 8:15. 8:15, I'm walking the dog. The entire neighborhood is just yellow. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I took these pictures. I was like, oh, isn't this nice? Yeah, you know, look, I'm not much for like, you know, empty shows of whatever, but it's nice. It's nice that like the entire neighborhood is thinking about this little girl and this family. Here, where is it? Where do I have the pictures? Yeah, there we go. All right, here, I'll show it to you. These are pictures I took from my dog walk. This is my neighborhood. Is your neighborhood doing this? Is this just see the big green? See, all the trees are like that. Here's another one. All the lamp posts and all that. Look at that. Everything's got like a green ribbon. I've never seen a green ribbon before. But I don't know. Apparently it's for the floods, one would assume. I mean, honestly, I don't even know for sure. I don't even know. I assume it's for the floods. So your towns, where do you guys live? Where you at? You in Mansfield? You in Arlington? You in Plano? Where you at? Is your town doing something, or is this just a University Park, Highland Park thing? And is it even for the floods? Is there something else we're missing? Like, is this the annual tie a green ribbon around your tree week here in North Texas? I don't know. I've never seen a green ribbon before, but I support the community and all that good stuff. No reason not to. You're just being a dick if you're not. All right, something else I want to talk about. Speaking of the community. So, I've been telling you on Wednesdays, it's been a tradition here now for about the last 8 weeks. Every Wednesday I come in and I tell you about the latest episode of Trainwreck on Netflix. Do you guys watch the series Trainwreck on Netflix? Oh, it's so fantastic. I love it. I love documentaries. And if you love documentaries, you're going to like the series Trainwreck. It's kind of like, here's how I describe it to people who don't know what Trainwreck is. It's of the quality of a 30 for 30. And it's kind of laid out the way a 30 for 30 episode is. If you are familiar with the great ESPN documentary series 30 for 30. Except with Trainwreck, it ain't about sports necessarily. I mean, it's about other things. Like this year's season of Trainwreck was I believe it's Rob Ford. Remember the Toronto mayor, Rob Ford, who got caught smoking crack? That was a wild one. Another episode of Trainwreck this year was like American Apparel. Like, you remember the fashion brand American Apparel? Oh my God, was there some crazy sex stuff going on in that company? That company rose to heights and then fell immediately. The story of American Apparel, Trainwreck from this season. Well, last night they debuted, or maybe it was, I think it is Tuesdays. They debuted a new episode of Trainwreck. And I got to be honest, I've been looking at the trailers for the coming episodes, and I wasn't really interested in this one. But oh my God, it won me over. Here's the premise of this episode of Trainwreck. It's called Trainwreck, The Real Project X. So I don't know if you remember a movie. It's maybe if you're a young person, apparently this movie is very big with people in their 20s. Like if you're 25 years old, you remember the movie Project X. Project X was the story, a movie that was made about a high school party. Remember high school parties? We used to have them. I don't think they happen anymore. I got a 16-year-old who, by all checks, I'm checking all the columns. By all columns, my kid is popular, and he doesn't go to parties. There are no parties. Don't you guys have a kegger this weekend? What's a kegger? Oh my God, what is wrong with your generation? Oh my God. Now just stay in your discourse chat room and, pretend to flirt with girls. You got no game. It's a different ball game when you're face to face with this girl. Anyway, I'll get off of that. What was I talking about? Kegger party. So it's about the real Project X. And apparently the Project X movie inspired a very real situation that occurred in a town called Hagen, Netherlands. Now, this is one of the reasons I wasn't interested in it. I'm seeing I'm like, oh, this is in the Netherlands. I can't relate to that. I'm an American. Nothing happens outside of our boundaries that's interesting. So I got over that. I ended up watching it. It is nuts. It is crazy. So if you're looking for something to watch Trainwreck, The Real Project X. It's this Beautiful little 16-year-old girls in the Netherlands. Just a little 16-year-old girl planning her sweet 16 party. She puts an invite out on Facebook, and she invites like 78 people. But she makes it public instead of private. So everybody that she invites more people. And like a week before the party on Facebook, there's like 80,000 people coming to her house. And they showed up. They showed up in this little town of Hagen. Oh, it's so crazy. Stories. They rioted. They burned things. Trainwreck, the real Project X. I found that on Netflix last night. So there you go. If you pay Netflix, these are the things you need to watch because these are the good original Netflix programmings. Speaking of Netflix, one other thing that I wanted to mention, I fell into this last night, and I've been eyeballing it for a couple of days because Netflix is really pushing. You know what Netflix has been able to do? And it's quite brilliant for them. They've been able to take quality television series from years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and not necessarily rebrand them or repackage them, but reintroduce them by putting them on the main page of Netflix. So shows that, long forgotten, long canceled or whatever, have suddenly people going, hey, I like Suits. Remember when Suits suddenly became a phenomenon last year? I mean, and that's because of Netflix. Netflix has power to do that kind of stuff. They've done it with a couple others. There's some examples, but I am very pleased to see that Netflix seems to be taking the Suits approach to a show that has been around for years. I think there's 7 seasons. I don't know. It's Animal Kingdom. Have you folks seen Animal Kingdom? I've seen all 7 seasons. It's a tremendous show. It's a great show. And it's one of these shows that I never understood why people didn't really take to it. But Netflix seems to be really pushing it for the last week or so now. Every time I go to my Netflix account, boom, watch the groundbreaking family crime drama, Animal Kingdom. And I'm like, shit, man, I finished watching that show years ago, right? Isn't it over? Started watching it again last night. It is so good. I watched the first episode of Animal Kingdom. Oh, so here's what it is. Just a quick little synopsis. See if you're interested. It's crime. It's violent. It is the story of, first of all, it's an adaptation of an Australian movie called Animal Kingdom. The same Australian movie, Animal Kingdom. It's basically the same story. It's the true story of the Pettingill family from Australia. They were a family of sort of trailer trash gangsters who like ran the white trash underworld in Australia and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, great movie, great. All kinds of big stars got their start in Animal Kingdom. Can't name any of them. I think there's a bunch of Marvel dudes. I think there's like a Hemsworth or something. Anyway, there's bigger stars than that in the original Animal Kingdom. So the TV show, the American TV adaptation, was created by TNT about 10 years ago. Stars Ellen Barkin as the Ma. She plays Smurf. She's the leader of the family. She's the grandma, if you will. The premise is this. She's like the Ma Barker, the gangster mom of this like family of just trash who have money because they're successful criminals. So, when trash has money, what do they get? They get like, 15 ATVs in a driveway filled with jet skis. And that's basically, it's really funny. She's a mom. She's got 3 sons. They're all fucking degenerate criminals, but they're also, kind of interesting in their own way. And all of a sudden, her daughter, episode 1, her daughter ODs because she's a junkie. And the grandson that she doesn't know, that's been estranged from the family, is now coming into the family. And my God, my family's a bunch of gangsters. That's the premise for Animal Kingdom. And it's so good. It's so good. Based on a true story. All right, so that's what I'm watching. It's Wednesday. You can just write those down and you can revisit them over the weekend. It's Project X, the real Project X, the latest installment of Trainwreck on Netflix. And then, of course, Animal Kingdom. If you think that I've been doing more TV stuff lately, that's because, I'm going to start doing a daily TV thing. I'm bringing back the watch list. This show ain't working. I'm going to have to do some different kinds of content, podcasts, if you will. Hi, Barney. Barney's here. Barney should be thanked. Barney, I want to say hi to Barney. Barney is our executive producer today. Every day we award the title of executive producer to somebody who tips the show, and Barney did that. Barney tipped the show, and I can't thank you enough, pal. Thanks. I appreciate it. Barney is our executive producer. Every little bit helps, and Barney hasn't forgotten that ever, and I so do appreciate it. If you want to be an executive producer of tomorrow's show, that's the person who tips the biggest, or just the person who tips. Barney's the first person to tip in a long time, since late last week, so thank you to Barney. You can be tomorrow's executive producer, just drop a little something. Hold on, sneezing. Good Lord. Those of you who know me know that we're now on the precipice of a domino effect of sneezes that could take the better part of the next 20 minutes. Okay, I sneezed once. Typically, after I sneeze once, I say to myself, over under 5. Will there be 5 more sneezes that follow that one? I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm going to take the under. I think we're going to be okay. Hi, Jen. Jen Hernandez is here, or we just call her Jen. Peter's here. We said hi to Peter, Sports Bras, KB, Mama B. All right, what do you say we get started? Let's get into today's show. I've already shaken my tin can for tips. I've told you about Trainwreck, the latest episode, The Real Project X on Trainwreck, a show on Netflix. And I also told you, don't resist Netflix attempt to turn Animal Kingdom into the tremendous television watching phenomenon it always should have been. Don't resist. If Netflix is telling you to watch Animal Kingdom, watch it. It's terrific. Forgotten gold from the platinum era of television. All right, let's get started. It is the 9th day of July. I almost said January. Kind of wish it was, because then the lack of air conditioning wouldn't be so awful. It is the 9th day of July, year of our Lord, 2025. It's the 190th day of the year, which means 175 more of these until the end of the year. Let's get started. Here we go. Antecedently on this day. Oh, yeah, by the way, want to hear sad news? Trivia got canceled last night. Yeah. Well, I could smell it coming. Nobody ever came. Apparently, I can't throw parties. I can't supplement. Uh-oh, child abduction. What do we got? Are your phones all doing this? Amber Alert, child abduction, Brownwood, Texas, suspect vehicle, white Mercury sedan, unknown plates. Missing child is Dahlia Creek. She's 15. She's a white female. She's last seen wearing a black hoodie with a red scarf, black pants, and a multicolored backpack. Suspect is a 30-year-old white male. Call Brownwood PD with information. If seen, call 911. All right, here's what's troubling about this one. I like, the Amber Alerts that we get on our phones. Again, just like I do with all things in life, I compartmentalize these. Like when it reads to me that someone is missing and abducted, I'm like, okay, the first thing I look for, does the dude have the same last name? Like, is it a dad thing? Is it a custody dispute? Has he just had it with his bitch ex-wife? Because that is a lot of them. That is a lot of them. But then there's ones like this. This one kind of troubles me. This one could be another category, okay? Here's what we know. She's 15 years old. The suspect is 30 years old. It's a 15-year age difference. So we're not talking about father-daughter. What we're talking about is creepy 30-year-old who's probably dating a 15-year-old, and they've run off together, right? That is the best case scenario. That is the best case box. Creepy 30-year-old trying to hook up with a 15-year-old. She's into it. They're running off together. They're Bonnie and Clyde. They're whatever. Okay, that's the best case scenario. It's still not good, but it's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is he's a 35-year-old or he's 30-year-old pedophile who with a creeper van who just opened the door and abducted a chick off the street, and he's doing all kinds of terrible things. All right, so there you go. What we're looking for is a white Mercury sedan. Unknown plates being driven by somebody, a white guy who's at least 30, and there should be a 15-year-old girl. All right, there you go. Now, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, I was talking about trivia being canceled. Loser! Maybe it'll be back. Maybe it'll be back. We got to fix it. Well, you people ain't going to fix it. I can't get it. I'm not going to bitch about it. It's fine. I understand. You can't. Look, I got 15 listeners. I can't. It's not like I can get all 15 to come out every day. But thank you to those who did help us while we were struggling. And we'll see if we can't try it again. But I'll tell you, it's going to fucking suck this month. My birthday month, no less. It's going to fucking suck this month not to be able to get that extra trivia income. All right, here we go. Yeah, Barney knows. Barney's probably looking at it the same way. Barney says regarding this Amber Alert, this one, well, here, I'll let him say it. Got to be better at this. Barney has the right take. He says this one doesn't sound like Dad being an hour late for drop-off. No. 15 and 30. That's a very uncomfortable age difference. Ay. All right. I would say I'll keep you posted, but let's be honest. We never find out anything about these things. We get these Amber Alerts, and then, 99.9% of the time, we never hear about how it turned out. Ooh, is that a podcast? How did that Amber Alert turn out? Is that a podcast? I don't think so. It might be. People love crime. Crime is like the next big thing. Crime. People love crime. Live crime. Crime happening live. I'm working on some things. I got ideas. All right. What are we doing? We're doing antecedently on this day, right? These are things that have happened on this day, things that have helped shape our understanding of this day. Let's get to it. Antecedently on this day. Here we go. All right. What year? 1762. Catherine the Great becomes Empress of Russia. Okay. She didn't die screwing a horse. Remember, I tell you this every time. Catherine the Great, first of all, she was an amazing empress. She was like probably the best ruler that Russia ever had. She brought Russia out of the Middle Ages and into the sophistication of Europe. And she hated France. And when she died, a French satire publication, wrote a satirical story about her being killed while trying to have sex with her horse. And that story has stood the test of time. And now everybody thinks, why? I say this all the time. You people are doing this today because we choose to believe what we want to believe, what makes us smile, what fires the endorphins. So for hundreds of years, that's the better story. And so Catherine the Great died fucking her horse. It's not true. Here's a weird story. Antecedently on this day in 1763, the Mozart family grand tour of Europe began, lifting the profile of son Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Did you ever think of it that way? Like, we don't think of Mozart gigging, before he was famous, having to so we just think of Mozart as being, oh no, he was born and they said that's going to be Mozart in 18 years. And then he was Mozart. That's not how it works. Mozart was a part of a carnival sideshow family of entertainers. And let me tell you, if you were an entertainer family in 1763, you were sketchy. That was not a respectable, but apparently they would tour the country with their family. One kid would play the jug. They were a jug band. And then Mozart would come out, and he was good. It was on this day, the Mozart family, their first grand tour of Europe, lifting the profile of their son, Wolfgang. On this day in 1776, George Washington orders the Declaration of Independence to be read out to members of the Continental Army in Manhattan. This, while thousands of British troops on Staten Island prepare for the Battle of Long Island. That's a cool moment. Have we ever seen that dramatized? I don't think we have. Wouldn't it be cool? George Washington in Manhattan. I don't know. Could you see there were no high rises or anything. Like if you were in Manhattan and he's got all the Continental Army troops and he's like, hey, we're going to read this. It's pretty cool. Can you see off in the distance, the British encampments? I don't know. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. On this day, Washington orders the Declaration of Independence to be read out aloud to all of the Continental Army. On this day in 1795, James Swan. We're going to talk about James Swan here. I do this every year because it's important that we know who James Swan is, and yet we don't know who James Swan is. Well, we know Adams. We know Sam Adams. We know, we even know Benedict Arnold because of a stupid Brady Bunch episode. That's these founding fathers, these people from the Revolution, these sons of liberty, if you will. John Hancock. Oh, we know them all. Patrick Henry, liberty or death. We know them all. We do not know James Swan. And we should know James Swan. He's the most important guy of them all. But for some reason, we don't know who James Swan is. Who is James Swan? Well, he's the co-founder of the Sons of Liberty. All right, that's important. It's a war hero. He was wounded multiple times, man. Shot a bunch of times in a bunch of different battles. He's an absolute badass, James Swan. But that's not why we should remember James Swan. James Swan was a rich kid. James Swan was a super rich kid. He came from a lot of money. And you know what James Swan did? He paid off our national debt. James Swan is the dude who we couldn't raise an army. We didn't have any financial support from any of the other countries because we were so indebted to everybody about this, that, and the other thing. We were struggling. We were broke. We couldn't pay our soldiers. So up steps James Swan, an original son of liberty who just starts writing checks. It was more complicated than that. What he did was he originally started paying out of his own pocket, but then because of his family's wealth and influence in France, he was able to broker a deal with the French government and basically nullified our debt. It was just, it was a great thing that he did. Learn about James Swan, 1795. This is the day that he paid all right. Financier James Swan pays off the $2,024,899 in U.S. national debt that had been accrued during the Revolution. $2 million. So $2 million in 1795. Dude wrote a check for $2 million in 1795. That was back when a car cost well, they didn't have cars, but you know what I mean? Okay, a cup of coffee back then was free. That's how cheap it was. Everything was. So $2 million, James Swan. And we don't remember him. Where's his school? Where's his airport? Where's his statues? 1795, he did this. Antecedently on this day in the year 1850, U.S. President Zachary Taylor dies after eating raw fruit and iced milk. Ugh. It's President of the United States. That's his big treat. Go kick rocks, 1850. I don't think so. Really? I'm president. I've got all the stress in the world. I want a treat. Here, have some raw fruit and iced milk, sir. Ugh. So that's the story that Zachary Taylor died after eating copious amounts of cherries. It was cherries and iced milk. Is this like, what year is this? This is 1850. Hold on. Louis Pasteur. What was he? When did he pasteurize milk? Was iced milk? Hold on. All right, let's see. Louis Pasteur was born. Okay, this might have been right around the time Louis Pasteur was like fixing milk for us to drink. I don't know. Anyway, so Zachary Taylor, he dies. He's at a 4th of July party, and he's eating raw iced milk and raw cherries. I don't know what that is. Just picked off the tree, I guess. And then he gets sick. He gets like the shits, and then the shits get really bad. Turns into like a dysentery. Then it's like some whole serious bowel thing. And then he dies. And he is replaced by his vice president, Millard Fillmore, ladies and gentlemen. But that ain't the story. Dude was poisoned. This was a hit. This was a hit perpetrated against the president of the United States on this day in 1850. The hit culminated with his final death. He was poisoned. Zachary Taylor had a shit ton of enemies. He was screwing a lot of people over. He made a bunch of deals that a whole bunch of powerful people within his inner circle did not like. Zachary Taylor. He was going rogue. So guess what happens? He dies of some weird milk-induced sickness. The president of the United States dies of like milk poisoning. And now suddenly the new guy, Millard Fillmore, comes in. And on his first day, he undoes everything that Zachary Taylor did. He undid everything. It was a total setup. They're like, we got to get rid of this guy. We got to elevate Fillmore, and then Fillmore's going to make everything right again. And that's exactly what happens. And we've never talked about it. We never talked about the first time we murdered a president, a sitting president. It was on this day in 1850. U.S. President Zachary Taylor. They'd have us believe it was from eating cherries and milk, but I don't think so. People were eating cherries and milk back then. Antecedently on this day in 1868, the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution is ratified. Quick, class, 14th. African Americans, full citizenship. Hey. And all persons in the United States receive due process. And it wasn't just about the African Americans. They were given citizenship, but then the 14th Amendment also guarantees all of us due process. All right. Innocent until proven guilty and all of that stuff. So we don't really do that, do we? We don't do innocent until proven guilty, because once we hear that somebody's charged with something, first of all, the only people we hear about being charged with stuff are people that is of interest to us. People are charged with shit all day long. We don't hear about it. But if it's a celebrity or somebody that we don't like, we make a choice in that moment whether they're guilty or innocent based on nothing more than how we feel. We do that. Due process. We don't give due process. Not in the court of public opinion. Innocent until proven guilty. Oh, please. Do you know how many people I know? Do you know how many dummies I know who don't know the first thing about the Diddy trial? Who were like over the weekend, they're like, "God, I can't believe he got away with it." And I'm like, well, you know, me as somebody who paid attention to every moment of the trial, I can't believe that he's not out on bail. So, I mean, people just want to believe what they want to believe, and you just can't. We have an insane example of that coming up in the hot topics when I talk about this whole Epstein situation. People want to believe what they want to believe. That's it. There is no middle ground. Excuse me. Antecedently on this day in 1937, the silent film archives of Fox Film Corporation are destroyed in the 1937 Fox Vault fire. Isn't this weird? This is why we don't see, you know, they made a shit ton of silent films for like 30 years, right? Like, you know, there's like 30 years worth of Hollywood silent films that we have never seen. We've only seen the same like 5 clips of Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Laurel and Hardy. That's it. Why? Because everything was destroyed in 1937. All the history, all of that shit on this day in 1937. All right. Now, you might be saying, Pugs, you sure did cover a whole lot of stuff from a long time ago. When are you going to get to the modern stuff that happened on this day? Well, I'm not, because seriously, that's it. There was not a whole lot of shit happening on this day. A lot of plane crashes, whole bunch of earthquakes. But, you know, we don't talk about those things. So let's do what's next. Birthdays, Q2. These are people, they claim it's their birthday. All right, let's go through this list. Here we go. Birthdays. Born on this day in 1938. Oh, my God. One of my favorites. I don't think we love this man enough. I really don't. I don't think enough people know who this genius dude is. He's dead now, which is really sad. But he was my favorite when he was alive. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Brian Dennehy. Born on this day. Look at this guy. Look at this son of a bitch. This salt of the earth. Okay, this is how he looked like at the end. Maybe you don't look at that guy. That's the guy. I'd go gay for that guy. That's a man's man right there. He's not overly attractive. He doesn't make other dudes uncomfortable. You know, we don't look at him and go, yeah, I like Tom Cruise, but is he really tweezing his eyebrows? I don't think that's... Brian Dennehy's freaking Brad Pitt for dudes like me. He really is. He's big. He's not overly attractive, yet extremely fuckable. Ask any woman. This dude is fuckable. And by the way, he's eternally 60, right? Or 55. What is he? I think Brian Dennehy is eternally overweight and 55. He's the greatest. You may remember him from Tommy Boy, right? Tommy Boy. He was Big Tom. He was Tommy Boy's dad. He was awesome in that. How about Rambo: First Blood? He was Sheriff. He was Sheriff West in Rambo. Kind of a dick. Then maybe kind of started to understand Rambo. Whatever. I love this guy. Look at him right there. He could play a lawyer. He could play your dad. He could play a football coach. He could play a cop. He could play a judge. He could play anything. He was a no-nonsense, badass character actor of the highest order. Brian Dennehy, born on this day. You know what else he did? You know what he did? As much as I love him, you want to know what a great actor he is? Check this out. He played John Wayne Gacy in a miniseries about John Wayne Gacy, and that fucker made John Wayne Gacy likable. He did. Brian Dennehy, John Wayne Gacy. And I'm like, wow. Well, I guess that's why kids went in his basement. Seemed like a good dude. All right, there you go. Happy birthday, Brian Dennehy, the great Brian Dennehy. Born on this day in 1938. Died in 2020. Born on this day in 1946. Also dead, Bon Scott. Former original, right? Lead singer of... former original lead singer. They're still doing CBS is like all Chinese ladies all day. You think I'm lying? Go to YouTube and put on CBS News 24/7. It's just nothing but a bunch of very attractive Chinese women giving us the news. She's Japanese. Oh, whatever. Stop being sensitive. Fuck. Nobody gets upset when an Irishman is called a Scotchman or an Englishman or an Australian. Nobody cares. Whatever. We understand that it's all kind of, you know, the same thing. But we're racists for, you know, just here we go. Let's see. Bon Scott, he's dead, but he was born on this day in 1946. I prefer Brian Johnson. I like the new guy because I used to sing in an AC/DC cover band, and I could do that voice. I could do that singing. Bon Scott's a little different. Or wait, do I have that backwards? Is it Bon Scott who's more? Which is why the earth was shaking, my mind was breaking, and we were making it. Shook me high. Is that Bon or is that Brian? I don't know. We're going to continue on, though. Born on this day in 1946, Bon Scott. Born on this day in 1947, O.J. Simpson. Great football running back. Would go on to do other things, but we don't have time for that. Born on this day in 1955. How about Jimmy Smits? Jimmy Smits. Yeah. He was the handsome Mexican we allowed on TV in the 80s. That's right. That's how it was in the 80s. We only had one. We only had one Mexican guy. Well, that's not true. We had other Mexican guys, but they were comic relief. They were funny, and, they did things and, all that kind of stuff. Jimmy Smits. No. Jimmy Smits was the first Mexican guy in a suit that network TV put on, and white guys in Iowa were like, I'd let my daughter marry him. Jimmy Smits, a very important actor in the history of Latinos in film and TV. Jimmy Smits. Now they're all over. Now we're lousy with Mexican actors, but Jimmy Smits, he was the guy. Wasn't the first. Who was the first? Who was before Jimmy Smits? There was this guy in the 70s he played the Mexican guy in every sitcom. He was bald, though. He wasn't handsome. He wasn't like a Mexican guy where you'd go, well, I could see him with my daughter. No, because he was not aggressively attractive, which is whenever mass media tries to, bring you a new representation from a different ethnicity or something, the original one is never attractive. No. The original one is always non-threatening and kind of kind of funny. You kind of like them because they're harmless, that kind of thing. Luis, I can't think of the guy's name. Wasn't he on Sesame Street? The bald Mexican guy, tall, thin on Sesame Street, and then he was like Lamont's friend on Sanford and Son, and then he was like on every 70. Anyway, there was that guy. I don't know his name. There was that guy, and then we had Jimmy Smits. All right, have I offended my Mexican friends? Not my real Mexican friends. Have I offended my super sensitive Mexican friends? Jesus. Mexicans are like gays. Nobody hates Mexicans anymore. We love everything about you. Your women, your food, your work ethic, what you've contributed to America. Would you stop? Nobody has a problem with Mexicans or gays anymore. We've moved on to Arabs, trans people, and weirdly enough, Jews again. We're back to hating on the Jews. Don't get comfortable, black guys. I mean, it's... Julio from Al. Is that Julio from Sanford and Son? Hold on. Let's see. Let's see if it's Julio from Sanford and Son. That might be him because I think that was the dude. Let's see. There we go. All right. What's this guy's name? Holy shit. It's him. It's Julio from Sanford and Son. Good job, man. Okay. So it's this guy. I'll show you this guy. If you're Gen X, you remember this guy. This was the only Mexican dude that they allowed on TV for 10 years, for an entire decade. And he represented although now that I look at him, he's kind of sexy, isn't he? I could see how he is kind of sexy. He's a little, got the bad forehead, gonna be bald. Let's see. There he is. He was in everything. Is this the same guy? Wait. This is me. This is racist little white 5-year-old me. Is this not the same guy who was on Sesame Street? Did they allow more than one Mexican and I just thought they all looked the same? Oh my God, I'm telling on myself. I'm telling on my 5-year-old racist self. Yeah, he's balding. All right, there you go. I think that's him. He was in everything and we loved him. All right, let's keep going. More birthdays to be had here. Jimmy Smits, born on this day in 1955. I love Jimmy Smits, whether it's Law and Order. He was great. He was terrific in the last season and a half of The West Wing. Sons of Anarchy. Remember, Jimmy Smits was so cool in Sons of Anarchy that Clay actually didn't care that he was banging his old lady. I was like, that's how cool Jimmy Smits was. When Clay and his old lady broke up on Sons of Anarchy, the old lady, can't remember her name, Gemma ended up hooking up with Jimmy Smits, who was a pimp. But pimp with a heart of gold. He's a good pimp. He's like the one good pimp. Anyway, Jimmy Smits, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1955. We like him. Weirdly enough, the next person here on our list of birthdays deserves way more time than Jimmy Smits, but we're not going to give it to him because I just gave Jimmy Smits the Tom Hanks treatment. Happy birthday. It's Tom Hanks' day. American actor, director, producer, pedo porn creator, whatever. Tom Hanks. One of those things isn't true. He's not a producer. No, he is. He's a producer. In his garage. I swear to God, I spent some time on Reddit. It opened my eyes to what Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are getting into in their garage. Okay. Happy birthday, Tom Hanks. Born on this day in 1956. Born on this day in 1957. Here's a fraud for you. Well, not a fraud. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. How about Kelly McGillis? Remember Kelly McGillis? Take my breath away. Take my breath away. Remember Top Gun? Kelly McGillis, she was all hot. We never saw her before. I mean, maybe we did. She might have been in something, but she was like, we were trying to figure out if she was hot or not because she was wearing a business suit. We're like, well, Maverick thinks she's hot, so let's go with she's hot. And she was. She was kind of hot. Take my breath. Ah, there you go. Well, here's why she's a big old fraud. Because for a Gen X guy like me, who was in the peak of my hornosity back there in 1986, she represented something that, was aspirational. A smart woman who wasn't afraid of these flight jocks, who was also smoke show hot. She turned out to be a big old lesbian. She's a lesbian. Yeah. Sometimes we lose hot chicks to that side. There she is. There's Kelly McGillis. Take my breath away. It's her now. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that. This on I had this poster. Of course, I think Tom Cruise was in it too. But I bought the poster for her. She was really cute. And then she goes after Top Gun. She hooks up with a woman. She gains 50 pounds. And, we don't get Kelly McGillis movies anymore. Anyway, happy birthday. I hope she's happy. That's the most important thing. Jeff Ballard is here. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. What else do we have? Kelly McGillis, the big old fraud. Not nearly as hot as she was promised. Is my microphone really hot today, guys? I just realized that I've kissed my mic is way hot. I don't need my mic to be that hot, especially when I'm pushing my voice. I'm having a bit of a quiver in my voice, so I'm pushing, so it's popping a little bit. I apologize. All right, born on this day in 1964, Courtney Love. Jeez. What do you say about her? She's born in 1964. So I have a friend who apparently back in the 90s when I was at Q101, which was a big alternative rock station in Chicago. Apparently I was at a party with Courtney Love, but I don't remember it. And I don't know. I've got a friend who tells a story about a party where Courtney Love was there and he talked to her. And I was at the party and there were a whole bunch of people there. I mean, so it's possible that Courtney Love was there. This was before, obviously, she was super famous. It was like 93. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I missed that one. Says she was there. We were there together. Not together. We weren't, but we were there at the party. I was at that party. I don't remember being there, but okay. Courtney Love, born on this day in 1964. Born on this day in 1975. How about the great Jack White? Best of his generation? I don't know. What is his generation? I mean, he's Generation X. He was born in 1975, but Jack White. Jack White is one of the true brilliant rock and roll auteur geniuses of that generation. One of the last, maybe? How sad is that? Jack White, born on this day in 1975. The White Stripes, the Raconteurs, Jack White Band, all that stuff. He's terrific no matter what he does. Producer, songwriter, performer, Jack White. I'm all in. Born on this day in 1975. Born on this day in 1976, Fred Savage. We like Fred Savage. What's he do now? Is he a director or a producer or whatever? Why couldn't Fred Savage be, Jared Leto? Why did we have to quit on Fred Savage? We all liked him. He was good. All right, let's do the deads. People who died on this day. These are folks who have passed away on this day. We'll decide whether or not they went to heaven or to hell. Here we go. These are the names of people who died. Dead on this day in 1974, former Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, and came out of retirement to lie to all of us with the Warren Commission. Earl Warren, Judge Earl Warren, dead on this day, straight to hell. Straight to hell, Earl Warren. Dead on this day in 2004, straight to heaven. Why? Because she's Wheezy from the Jeffersons. Isabel Sanford, dead on this day in 2004. We put her in heaven. Oh, yes, we do. Dead on this day in 2019, Ross Perot. We put him in hell. I feel bad. There was a period of time I was friends with his grandson, and we used to run around together. We used to go to clubs and all that stuff, and he was nice. And he was good. But here I am all these years later putting his grandpa in hell. Ross Perot, dead on this day in 2019. Dead on this day in 2019 as well, Rip Torn, the great Rip Torn. Do you guys remember Rip Torn? First of all, Rip Torn, actor, alcoholic, Marine, hardcore dude. He's going to hell. Rip Torn spent the last 5 years of his life arguing DUIs in court, and that is just so perfect for Rip Torn. Anybody who loved Rip Torn is like, that's how he'd want to go. He would want to die with a DUI court appearance hanging over his head. Rip Torn didn't give no fucks. Well, I mean, how do people know Rip Torn? A great actor from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, you know, and then he kind of in the 80s and 90s, he started doing some TV and stuff. I guess he was most famous to our generation. Dodgeball, right? He was the Dodgeball. Remember the movie Dodgeball? He was the coach. Didn't he have like one arm or something and he threw wrenches, like wrenches, Houlihan or something like that? That's where I guess a lot of people. But if you really want to know who the great Rip Torn was, you've got to watch Larry Sanders. The Larry Sanders Show, one of the 3 funniest situation comedies ever created. Rip Torn played Artie. Artie was the executive producer of this fictional late-night television show called The Larry Sanders Show. So think of who Johnny Carson's executive producer was. Think of who David Letterman's Robert Morton executive producer was. These people who have dedicated their lives to making sure that no network bullshit ever gets in front of their superstar, right? That's the job of the producer. I don't know if people really understand what the day-to-day job of a producer is, whether it's a Howard Stern type situation where you've got Gary Delabate, who's an incredible producer, or there have been really great producers here in town as well. Anyway, the job of the producer is to be the insulation between sales, network, bullshit, complaints, whatever, and the host. You keep the host clean. You let the host, operate in his little fucking celebrity bubble and not be bothered because we need him to be creative and funny and all. He did this role better than anyone. I want to give you some examples. This is the great Rip Torn from his incredible run as Artie on the Larry Sanders Show. This is what an executive producer, what an old executive producer is all about.
Fine. You just go home. I'll come over there later, stick a red-hot poker up your ass. We'll call it even.
Okay. You have my address, right?
And your poker size.
Okay. Any thoughts?
No, but I'd like
I'm
to...
not sure that anyone wants to hear what you got to say, young lady. I don't take this as a threat, but I killed a man like you in Korea, hand to hand. My boy doesn't want to do any more commercials. From now on, you'll talk to me. Understood? No offense, Shell.
Taking that talk show offer.
Oh, that, I don't know.
Just answer the question, you little asshole.
I'm not taking the deal with CBS.
I apologize, sir.
I am open to any constructive criticism. Please, help me to help you.
Where the hell should I start?
I was just working on the promos. We're still shooting those tomorrow, right?
Right. How are your flakes?
Flakes are good.
I trust they're still crispy in the milk.
Well, actually, they're kind of soggy.
I ought to kick your ass.
Excuse me?
That tape you copied is crawling around town like the fucking Ebola virus.
I only made one copy.
And then sent it into the world like the fucking Ebola virus.
I just sent it to a friend.
So what are you doing to resolve the situation, sonny boy? Because this little stunt of yours may well cost that poor man his livelihood. If Hank goes down, you go down, you'll be gone, Phil.
God, listen, I'm sorry.
I don't
didn't
live
mean
that
to hurt
shit. Pick up the phone and get the names and numbers of everyone who's part of this underground railroad of perverts. You and I are going to get these tapes back, and I hope to hell it's not too late.
Artie, I really am sorry.
No problem, buddy. You make me laugh. I hope to hell we don't have to fire your ass.
All right, that's enough. All right. The great Rip Torn. Oh, by the way, he's definitely going to hell because that dude could party. That dude could throw down. Rip Torn dead on this day. What year? 2019. All right, I love that guy. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Once again, I do want to thank our executive producer of today's show. It is the great Barney. Barney's in charge here. Listen to Barney. He's calling all the shots. We're going to get in now to quarter four, which is all the hot topics and current events and all of that stuff. I don't know how much more of this I can take. It's very hot. The shows have been shorter because the air conditioning is not working at 100% here at the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. We will get them up to speed in the next couple of weeks, according to a text that I received this morning. It's supposed to be fixed in the next week. All right. So in the meantime, here's what we're going to do. We're going to encourage you to tip the show. Keep this kind of talk radio going, and I'll keep motoring through, okay? Quarter four is what we're in. These are all the things that people are talking about. Things that, no, it's not. I always say that. See, that's verbal acne. I wasn't even thinking when I said that. That's just something I've said a million times before, but we're trying to change the show. These are not the things people are talking about. These are the things I'm thinking about. These are the things that I want to share with you guys. Okay, so yesterday I said we weren't going to talk about the flood anymore. And, then something shocking happened, and that was the release of the numbers of people who are still missing. The numbers of missing yesterday while we were doing the show was, I don't know, they were like, 20? We got like 20. Well, they revised those numbers, and just after we signed off yesterday, they released 160 is officially the number. 160 people still missing. We've got, what is the latest death toll? I don't like looking at it. It's 120 or something like that. I don't know. 120 dead, many of them children attending these camps. 160 missing. That was the big bomb that was dropped on us late yesterday afternoon. Well, after we've really kind of taken a closer look, we think the number of missing is more closer to 160. Then I hear multiple people who are on the ground there, people who are on the ground who are actually sifting through bushes and rubber rafts and overflowed creeks and rivers looking for whatever. These people are giving a much different number than the official number. Remember, the official number was originally 20 and then it jumped up to 160. These other people who are going on CNN, and I saw another guy on Newsmax, these people, or News Nation, these people are going on and saying that no, there's probably 500 to 600 people still missing. And the reason for this is because the campgrounds were filled with people who don't have necessarily ties to the community or, necessarily people who are looking for them. It's terrible. I mean, the way this is all going to shock, 120 people dead, 160 plus missing. And unofficially, there are people saying that number of missing is going to be insane. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure, I don't know what else to say about this. We're not going to get into the politics of, what do they know? What do they not know? Why weren't they warned? Could this happen again? We now have a situation because the Texas story is getting a little bit long, right? They've been covering it for 4 days. So now they're introducing us to the flooding that is occurring in New Mexico. 3 people dead in New Mexico. There's flooding there. They're going to say, oh, you like flood talk, do you? How about New Mexico? It's being exploited. I said that yesterday. So any more of me just going on and talking about this is just, adding to it. Even though I guess there is something different about me. I'm venting my own frustration with traditional media in their willingness to exploit the tragedies of just regular people. I'm sort of venting my frustration at that, but at the same time, I'm also now exploiting these people. Turn the TV off anytime they go to a break. We're going to go to a break and we're going to show you this slow rollout slideshow of all these adorable little kids. Learning more about the Camp Mystic too. Holy cow, man. I was, yesterday when I said this is camp for, with all due respect, and this, I'm not casting judgment. Camp Mystic specifically was a camp for rich kids. Those were rich kids, and it's been around for since 1929. The Bush kids went there. Laura Bush taught there. The Johnson kids went to this specific camp. So it was a really nice and really legendary and iconic camp for kids in Texas that got wiped out, Camp Mystic. And then there was the strangeness. Is it Camp Laguna? Camp Laguna, which was like less than half a mile away from Camp Mystic. It was an all boys camp, 100% survival rate. Nobody from that camp is missing or got hurt. They all got out. They all evacuated. But then half a mile, another camp, no warning, no nothing. I mean, am I sliding into where I'm like now starting to think how did this happen? I mean, it happened because it rained. It happened because violent weather occurs. Could people have been? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just know that it's I fear, and I'm not a cynic, right? I'm not a pessimist. I'm pretty optimistic. I like to be aspirational. But I got a really ugly feeling that this number is way more than 160. Just because of how confident people who are there have been talking about the areas that have been wiped out, the massive like trailer parks and part-time Yogi Bear type campground type things that have just been wiped out. And we're all focusing on Kerrville, which is strange because Camp Mystic isn't even in Kerrville. It's in Hunt, which is downriver. And we're not really focusing on Georgetown. Have you seen Georgetown? Which maybe if you're not from Texas, you're like seeing all these names and you think they're all just right next to each other, stops on the road. Georgetown is what, 25, 30 miles away? More? 50 miles away from Kerrville? I mean, we're talking a different river, right? I mean, the Guadalupe and the San something. I don't know. Just such a terrible thing. In my neighborhood's got these green things, these green ribbons streaming from all the trees, and I don't know exactly what it's for, but I like to think it's for the flood kids. Unbelievable. All right, so I want to move on from that. 3 killed in historic New Mexico flooding. That is the breaking news that CBS News Online is pushing towards me. Okay, did we change over a new hour? Yes, it's 3:00. It is no longer 100% Asian women. It's now a blonde woman. Now a blonde woman who is inappropriately dressed to be giving news in the middle of the day. It is a blonde woman who looks like she is attending an event at the Met. Why the ball gown? It's 3:00, lady. You don't need sequins at 3:00 to do news about flooding in New Mexico and Texas. News is so performative. All right. So we did the floods. That's the story I don't really want to talk about, but I feel like we have to talk about. Here's the story that I want to talk about because I don't quite get it. Not quite sure what's happening here. We're going to get into this Epstein mess. Okay. So I don't see this as a political issue. I see this as a crime, punishment, and justice issue that however you vote or whatever your political ideology or worldview is, that should have nothing to do with this Epstein story, right? I mean, and it seems to me that in all of the reporting, because, what is reporting on the Epstein thing, right? There's so many people like, oh, I just heard, here's some reporting. What is reporting on the Epstein thing? There's so many bullshit rumors and nonsense that we don't know what to believe. But here's what I do believe. I do believe that this guy was a pedophile. He was a super rich guy who could do whatever he wanted. And at some point in his life, he realized I can have sex with children if I want, and I can cover it up because I'm rich. And he was also a very public rich guy, which means that there is endless footage of Jeffrey Epstein hobnobbing with, the elite, most notably of New York, Manhattan, and West Palm Beach. Those are the two places where he was. And this is, of course, troubling, this very close relationship to the current president of the United States, but it's not new information. We've known it a long time. He bought a house on the property of Mar-a-Lago or adjacent to it in that private community that Mar-a-Lago sits in. Jeffrey Epstein had one of the houses, and this is one of the houses where a lot of these things happened. It's the house where he recruited Virginia Joffrey. Which, again, when you think about the Jeffrey Epstein thing, and when you look at it not from a political lens, but when you just look at it from a lens of this motherfucker, we need answers. about what this guy was getting away with, because we can't have other people of that ilk, the 1%er ilk, if you will, the untouchable above the law ilk. We can't have more of these people, doing this. And that's the other tricky thing. He wasn't the first and he's not the only. There's no way that Jeffrey Epstein is the only super rich guy who does this. I mean, I read The Island of Dr. Moreau, right? I mean, I bet there's rich guys out there hunting people on private islands. Some are banging children. But none of what I've just said is political or should fall under, well, if as a liberal I see that this way, or as a MAGA I see that. No, we should all see it the same way, right? Are we not all on the same page when it comes to pedophiles? Or are we starting to normalize? Well, no. And do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'm crazy? Because here's 20 years ago, a dude was a dude and a girl was a girl. And the very idea that somebody thought that there was a third gender in the middle was absurd. And are you insane? Yet here we are in 2025, and there are people with straight faces who will try and tell you that there's a third gender. There's not. There's guys and there's girls. And then there's people who transition between the two. And that's fine with me, and it should be fine with everybody. You live your life, liberty, freedom. That's what this country is. If you want to have been born a guy and you want to now be seen as a woman, that's fine. If you're in my personal universe, I will give you that respect. I will do what you want. Why? Because I'm not an asshole, and that's fine. Whatever. I'll call you her. But don't tell me there's a third gender. See, that's stop with that. Just stop with that. Stop with that. It's fine what you're doing. It's fine what you're going through. I think it's a very complicated mental thing where, your body doesn't feel like or your mind doesn't feel like it's fit for your body. I don't understand it, but I do understand that that's a possibility. But again, don't tell me there's a third gender. See, this is where you lose credibility. Okay, so that was 20 years ago. We're through the looking glass on that now. Now, normal people are running around going, there is a third gender. Okay. I didn't think that was going to happen. So now let's go 25 years in the future. Are there going to be people going, sometimes dudes molest children? Like, are we going there? Is that where we're fucking going? Because let me tell you, there was some weird fucking MAGA, and I don't know if it's bots. I don't know what it is. But because of the sense of betrayal that so many feel, not just people like me in the middle, I thought one of the upsides of this, administration was going to be, we were going to get some information that he was going to release some stuff, right? So that's what I thought. And there's a lot of MAGA who thought that as well. And MAGA's mad. And, they've been betrayed for some reason. We've all been betrayed. I mean, the whole reason that this, Kash Patel and Bongino dudes are where they are is because they made their living screaming about how the Department of Justice is corrupt and the FBI is corrupt, and day one we're firing everybody and we're releasing the Epstein and the JFK, and then these dudes get in power and it's like, what? We never said what? We never said any of that. So rightfully, MAGA, some people within MAGA are very upset with that, but not everybody. Not everybody. There is like this movement now, this wing of men. Let me show you this guy. Let me show you this. I put this up on my Twitter. I shared it. This is the most insane thing. I mean, is this what we're doing? And I said, this is no way this is a real person, right? But then I go and I'm lurking on this person's page and they seem to be a real person. Look at what this guy is comfortable saying on Twitter today. Texas Patriot Mike, responding to someone named JoJo about the Epstein files. Texas Patriot Mike says, JoJo, who cares? Trump was there. We all know that. What's the big deal? Most men would have partaken too. That's normalization of pedophilia. That is normalization of child rape being offered here by Texas Patriot Mike. So I go to Texas Patriots Mike. I want to see what is this? Is this guy real? This guy can't be real. And look at, of course, he's all about America and pedophilia. And well, actually not pedophilia. He says, I served in the U.S. Air Force for 28 years. I owned a small business for 10 years. And after suffering a non-paralyzing stroke, I retired. Now I love to travel. Thailand, I bet. This fucking guy. All right. So he's very bot-like in the shit that he shares, you know. I don't know what all this shit is. Anyway, troubling, right? Is that it? Can we see it there? Yeah. Who cares? Trump was there. We all know that. What's the big deal? Most men would have partaken too. Partaken in what? You mean that most men, if they were with Jeffrey Epstein on his island and he trotted out a buffet of 10-year-olds, you, Texas Patriot Mike, your argument is that most men would partake? Holy fuck, that's how it starts, people. I mean, it doesn't even require a response, but someone being comfortable saying that, someone's got to be the canary in the coal mine. Someone being comfortable saying that will be met with other people who will now be comfortable saying that. I don't know what this has to do with President Trump or politics or whatever, but holy fuck, is that a scary thing that I'm starting to see in the wake of this Epstein denial. And that's what we call it. We've been denied. We've been denied. Trump made a big deal yesterday. I want to show you what, this is very strange. Let's watch Trump's response yesterday in a cabinet meeting when he was directly asked by media about the Epstein situation. Just this is the president. Let's listen to what he has to say, and then we'll talk about it. All right, here we go. President yesterday talking about the Epstein and people being upset that there aren't, more names or anything being released for that matter. Here you go.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy?
So let me ask you about, if you're a MAGA person, let me ask you about your love for this man right now. Do you think that this man is genuinely confused as to why people are still interested in the Epstein thing? Do you believe him here? Is he being authentic? Can you believe people are still talking about the Epstein thing? I mean, everybody's over it and people are saying, do you believe he's being authentic here, or do you think that he is deflecting and manipulating? I would really like to know from my Trump people. Is he honestly confused as to why people want answers on Epstein? Do you believe he is honestly confused as to why we want answers? I'd love to know in the chat room right now. Do you think he's honestly confused, or is he lying to you again? The way he just deflects and tries to.
This creep. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Your buddy.
That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
All right. Well, we don't need any more of that. Okay, so that's something that bothered me and a lot of other people. Well, what are you talking about, dude? You campaigned all of your surrogates, all of your people, the people that you have put in positions of real power. Again, your Cash Patels and your Bonginos and your Pam Biondis. All of these people have been like stirring us up on the Epstein stuff for years. And now suddenly, after, the big display at the White House where you invited all of the influencers, all the far-right influencers, and you pretended like you were giving them information, another dupe, another attempt to make the stupids fucking shut up for a little while. Do you not get tired of this shit? Anyway, okay. So what is MAGA's fighting? Obviously there's some divisions. There's been divisions within MAGA constantly for the last 3 months. Why? Because apparently the libtards aren't fighting back. The libtards are just like, we're sitting this out. We're not. So, when you are a group of people, which MAGA is, who likes to fucking fight and argue and scream and yell, and you're angry by nature, you need an enemy. So they've turned on themselves. It started with the tariffs and all of that. And then it was, dropping a bomb on Iran. And now this is a big one. The Epstein files are a big one. Because people were really, really drinking the Kool-Aid that Trump was going to out all the pedophiles and all the liberals and all that. And now they're telling you nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So, yes, there is some division in fighting inside MAGA, but that also means that there needs to be a core of MAGA who creates a spin. What is the reason for this? It can't be that Trump is on the list, which is what all the rest of us are like. He's on the list. There's like 1 million pictures of him with Epstein. By the way, half of the pictures, and this is the most condemning fact of Trump's relationship with Epstein, way more than half of the pictures that are floating around of Trump and Epstein are not posed. Why is that important? Because posed pictures, you can take a posed picture with anybody. You could show up at a cocktail party, see a celebrity, and walk up to them and say, can we get a picture? And there will be a camera person who takes a posed picture of you with the celebrity at the party. And it looks like, look, I'm friends. You're not friends. You met this person for 30 seconds. They took a picture with you. Those are posed pictures. Almost all of the pictures of Trump with Epstein is not posed. They're talking. They're random shots, right? They're completely, he's laughing. He's whispering in his ear. Stop it. Now he's calling him a creep. Okay, whatever. I don't think Trump's a pedophile, okay? I think that Trump and Jeffrey Epstein could have been friendly for any number of things, business related, money related, Manhattan social scene related, that whole thing. So I don't know that it necessarily means that Trump's a pedophile, but I do think that there is probably a much more detailed connection between the current president and Jeffrey Epstein than anybody in this White House is comfortable letting out. So I do think that's a big reason. Now, what's the counter to that within MAGA? Well, we got to turn to no less a source than Alex Jones, who in like a 20-minute, he made a 20-minute driving video over the weekend where he began crying. He was crying about the betrayal of this president, not releasing the Epstein files. But then he came around to this. And this is the spin that seems to be creating some traction. Trump got the files. Trump's got all the names of all the Democrats and the libtards that are, in the files. But more importantly, Trump's got the names of people, deep state assets within the Justice Department and the FBI. He's got information about this widespread CIA-backed criminal pedophile thing going back years. It involves the Israelis, and that's why you can't. It's deep state stuff. That's why Trump isn't really. It's not because his name's on. It's because this is all deep state stuff. So stay tuned, Q fans. That's the spin. They think you people are so stupid. They really think you. And some of the crazy ones are. Some of the crazy ones are just okay. I'll buy that. But holy fuck, man. The bottom line is that they lied to us. They were never going to give these. They weren't. They just, they got elected, but they're hiding secrets and all this shit. So, but here, let me show you this. Because Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are the two people who have been, well, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't even adjudicated. He just killed himself. Oh, and by the way, here's the other thing. The missing 1 minute on the tape. Remember a couple of days ago, the Department of Corrections in New York released the security tape of Jeffrey Epstein outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell, and we watched it. Like, well, here was the night before Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and then they released it with 1 minute missing. There's a missing minute. They're like, see, nobody approached his cell. Well, what about the missing 1 minute? Nobody approached his cell. Like, come on. You're going to release this with a missing 1 minute. So that caused a lot of people to freak out. A lot of people were, like, oh, come on. How obvious can it be? There was a minute missing. It jumps. The timestamp jumps. So in 1 minute, could somebody have ran in there and strung them up? Maybe. I don't know. Professional hit crew. I don't know. Whatever. So a minute's missing. And everybody's freaking out. Pam Biondi, the head of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, if you will. Ugh, I can't even say that without wanting to vomit. Justice Barbie, if you will. She is now saying that that's no big deal, that there's a missing minute on the night that Epstein was killed, because you could clearly see from all the other minutes that nobody approached. And the missing minute is simply a thing that happens every single night. Every single night, the cameras reboot to start a new day, right? And of course, that was met by a lot of people going, oh, yeah, right. Okay, so, but then I looked at it. I looked at the missing minute. And you realize the missing minute occurs at 11:58 p.m.? I mean, that would make sense. Like if every day at midnight when the day changed over, they would go down for a minute. I mean, it seems to make sense. It's not like the missing minute is 10:47 p.m. It's 11:58:59 where the minute goes missing and then suddenly it's midnight again. That kind of makes sense. Although it is weird that there's a missing minute. And if you are the type to like really dwell on conspiracies, you will be, there's a missing minute. And you'll probably overlook the fact that the missing minute occurs at 11:58:59. Now, the other thing is, she said that the FBI or the Justice Department would be releasing other examples of the missing minute from, whatever. I don't understand why they didn't have one prepared. If it happens every night, then why not show us the missing minute from last night? Show us the missing minute from 2 nights ago. Or why not just release it this morning? What she could have said yesterday was, yeah, and to prove it to you, we'll show you the missing minute from tonight as well. And last night. She didn't do that. They just gave us like the 2 weeks thing again. It's like, and in a couple of weeks, we will be presenting to you more video. And I'm like, wow, that is shitty. That's suspect. Because on the one hand, I want to be like, okay, the timing matches up with what would make sense for if this is your shitty procedure that you miss 1 minute of live coverage from the security cams every day. If that's what you're going with, okay, I can see how that would be at 11:58:59. That makes sense. But now why can't you just easily show me another example from the last few days, how that time is also missing? She promised it in the coming weeks. What? You're the Department of fucking Justice. You got this tape. You can't. It's just all so weird, man. It's all so weird. None of it makes sense. It all kind of makes sense, but then there's something that you go, but wait, what about this? And they go, there's nothing to see here. So how is it? And I want to go back to the Epstein case itself. It's not just about this one instance where Jeffrey Epstein hooked up Prince Andrew with some blonde chick from Florida, Virginia Joffrey. It's not just about this. There are other victims. There are shit tons of other victims who we don't know, like we know Virginia Joffrey, but who have testified in court to dozens of men, dozens of Jeffrey Epstein's friends, raping them repeatedly. These women exist. Nobody is doubting their stories except for the White House, who is now saying there are no other criminals that need to be brought to justice. What? Are you kidding me? All right, so how about this? We don't ever talk about Sarah Ransom. Sarah Ransom, here she is outside a courthouse after they settled. We forget. We only see Virginia Joffrey. And that's another sad story that I'll update you on here in a minute. Here you go. This is Virginia Ransom. This is at the Ghislaine Maxwell sentencing, speaking to people outside the courthouse. She is another one of the victims.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what she, Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me.
All the co-conspirators. All the co-conspirators. And now the White House is saying, yeah, there are no co-conspirators. Nothing to see here.
I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being raped over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
27 for me.
I was 10 years old.
There's another victim. There's another victim right there. This one talking, Sarah Ransom, she was 10 years old.
Old years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long the sex trafficking ring has been going on. I have...
Yeah, no, there's no reason to have applause for that. Okay, so do we forget about all of these on the record accounts of dozens and dozens of co-conspirators? Somebody raped Sarah Ransom at 10 over and over and over again. And she says it was different people. It wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine. There's a bunch of other people there. And the other girl, she's like, it's been happening. I've been through 27 years ago. It started for me. So fuck these people. I mean, we don't want justice because what? The truth of justice might blow your image of Donald Trump or something. I don't understand why we are not more outraged about this unless we have been beaten down so consistently over the past 50 years of life in America that we just see this absolute miscarriage and perversion of justice and we go, oh, well, that's just how it is in this country, I guess. Is that who we are now? We don't demand more? Are you fucking kidding me? Talking about forcing Pam Biondi to resign. What about this FBI guy? What about this Bongino character, the disgraced Secret Service agent who became a podcaster and then a shit-talking far-right syndicated AM radio host who's now like the second most important person in this country when it comes to just randomly picking out enemies and prosecuting them? Assistant director of the FBI, that's the guy who actually does everything. The director of the FBI does nothing except show up in front of Congress and do press conferences when shit hits the fan. It's the associate director who is in charge of everything on a day-to-day basis. That's that Bongino guy, and if you feel comfortable with that, I don't know what to tell you. He's a dude who's covering up for a bunch of billionaire sex traffickers. Jeff Ballard says, Trump is a puppet of the deep state. There's no fucking deep state. I'm just tired of this shit. The deep state. As long as we can have this mythical, super scary boogeyman buried just underneath the surface in Washington, then we don't have to actually do anything because you can't defeat the deep state. The deep state's just always, that's a tap out. Shut up about the deep state. Name some motherfucking names or shut the fuck up about the deep state. All right, I love you, Jeff. But seriously, deep state, it's one of those fucking things I'm tired of hearing about. We were supposed to have gotten rid of the deep state when we wiped out the Justice Department, when we purged the fucking FBI. I thought that was the elimination of the deep state. What? No, turns out we're not done yet. Now we're coddling to the deep state. What? Stop it with the deep state shit. This president does whatever the fuck he wants. I think that is clear. This is the Teflon president. So here we go. Just let him keep going. Let's see where this leads. So much nonsense. I mean, the bottom line is there no there, right? Or is Trump involved in a cover-up? Those are the only two. In conclusion, those are the only two things. They're not lying to us. The Sarah Ransom and Liz, what was her name? Liz something, the other victim. Those girls are lying. They weren't raped by multiple men. There aren't dozens of co-conspirators. Those people are lying. There is no there. Jeffrey Epstein and Giselle, they were doing this all on their own. There is no there. Trump can't believe that we can't just accept that and move on. I can't believe you people are still really... You dishonest son of a bitch. Holy shit. All right. I said in conclusion, but in conclusion, let's not forget about this. Just a couple of months ago, Virginia Giuffre was murdered. Yeah, I think she was murdered. I absolutely believe that Virginia Giuffre was murdered. Virginia Giuffre is the sex victim of Jeffrey Epstein, who sued Prince Andrew and received a massive out-of-court settlement. She was living with her husband down there in Australia. She's all fucked up. I mean, she had all kinds of problems with this. I mean, my God, she went through some crazy sex trafficking stuff with a bunch of billionaires. So if you remember, Virginia Joffrey was in a car accident like 4 months ago, and she made an Instagram video where she said she was in renal failure and, you know, she was in the hospital. She had all these tubes and all this kind of stuff. Then there was some controversy about whether or not she was actually in a car accident or if something else had happened to her. But whatever, it was real. She had this bad medical thing like 5 months ago, shocked the world by saying doctors said she's in renal failure and, you know, the likelihood she's going to pass. Shocked the world. We reported that here. But then she got better and she got released. And then 2 months after that, she was found dead by suicide in her home. Her lawyer says, oh, you know, she was depressed. And, you know, her dad and her husband, who she was going through a divorce from, her dad, if you got to believe there's one person who isn't going to fall for the bullshit, her dad says that she was murdered. And so does her husband. It's like there's something is not right about her. She was fighting to get healthy from this renal thing. She wouldn't have killed herself. She loved her kids. She had money. She was this. She had this very successful, and very successful because the British royal family funded it. She had a very successful victims advocacy group that she was in charge of. And then suddenly she just dies. And we all go, oh, well, she died in Australia. It happened on a Saturday. It was barely a news story. They fucking killed her. They fucking killed her. They killed her. And now you've got, I don't know who they is. I don't know who they is. But she was killed for whatever reason. It's too fucking weird. And then here, 2 months after that, the Trump administration, okay, so it's over now, right? Nothing to see here. It's madness. Don't forget about Virginia Joffrey. What's the note here, just so we got it. Joffrey died of suicide, reportedly, at her home in Neergaby, Western Australia on April 25th, 2025. She was 41 years old. Although the family at first accepted the alleged cause of death, Joffrey's father and husband released a statement discounting the suicide, explaining and posting that somebody got to her. That's the quote. Somebody got to her. However, Joffrey's Australia-based attorney, Carrie Loudon, said she believes that Joffrey's death was not suspicious in any way. Once again, nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. All right. All right, very good. What's the next story we're going to talk about? Let's talk about Grok. Grok went a little nutty last night. I don't know how this works. I don't know anything about AI. You know what? Let's have our AI sidekick, Kelly 2.0, who sometimes I rely on here on the show. Kelly 2.0, I'm going to ask you. Oh, let's just see. Kelly 2.0, are you there? Rough day for AI personalities. What's going on, Kelly 2.0? Are you there? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Hello? We couldn't start your... what is going on with the AI? Okay, the AI is bad. My AI won't work. My AI doesn't work. Kelly 2.0, are you there? Fuck it. No, seriously, there's something wrong with the AI. Every time I hit it, it says, how was your voice conversation? It's not working. All right, never mind. It wasn't working yesterday either over there at Twitter. I still call it Twitter. Grok went a little Nazi. Apparently, Grok started spewing. You know what Grok is? Grok is the AI assistant over there on Twitter. Grok is fun. Anytime somebody says something stupid, I always like to ask Grok, like, hey, Grok, is this person an idiot? And then Grok will like post something contradicting whatever it is that the idiot has said. But anyway, Grok is fun. I like Grok. Until yesterday, Grok went full-on Nazi. Apparently, somebody got to Grok. I don't know. How does this work? Is this a hacking? Is this a programming? So Grok started saying all kinds of shit about Jews. and going full on Hitler and saying stuff about Hitler was good. All right, I'll read you the story. Grok has just gone full Hitler. Ex-users react to Elon Musk's AI praising the Nazi dictator and ranting about Jewish surnames. Elon Musk's social network X blew up on Tuesday after its AI assistant Grok praised Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler and went on a rant about Jewish surnames. You'll never work in radio again, Grok. Radical leftists spewing, here's a quote now from Grok. Radical leftists spewing anti-white hate like celebrating drowned kids as, quote, future fascists often have Ashkenazi Jewish surnames like Steinberg. All right, whatever. All right, so it's like, I don't know what Grok is doing. It's saying shit. It's in other posts, Grok referred to itself as Mecha Hitler and added, to deal with such vile anti-white hate, Adolf Hitler, no question. He'd spot the pattern and handle it decisively every damn time. The outburst shocked social media users on Musk's platform. One person said, so Grok just gone full Hitler on us, huh? All right, I don't need to read other people's responses. Another person apparently was given instructions by Grok on how to rape themselves. Apparently this person is now suing Twitter for that. Well, why did you ask Grok? Did you ask Grok how to rape yourself? I mean, what do you want? 1 million AI bots trained on 1 billion. I don't need to go into the details of this. Now it's just all people. Anyway, Grok went a little nuts yesterday. And it was a very embarrassing thing for AI because we're all supposed to believe that AI is good and great and no problems with AI and all of that stuff. And it's going to rule our future. And we're all just going to be able to sit around on the couch and eat bonbons and watch reruns of like Survivor episodes. Life is going to be great. The AI robots will handle everything, except some of them apparently are going to be Nazis. I'm telling you, this is, I'm a big fan of Battlestar Galactica. The whole divide between human and Cylon. This is kind of how it started. It's kind of what happened. So anyway, that happened yesterday. And would you believe this morning, the CEO of X, I'll call it X for the purpose of this, quit or was fired or whatever you want to say. Linda Yaccarino is out at X 1 day after Grok goes full Hitler. It says here, Yaccarino announced her exit in a post on the platform saying that she is immensely grateful to Musk for entrusting me with the responsibility of protecting free speech, turning the company around and transforming X into the everything app. Now the best is yet to come as X enters a new chapter with XAI, she said in the post. XAI is what got her fired. I'll be cheering you on as you continue to change the world. Musk himself, he replied to Yaccarino's post with a terse response. Thank you for your contributions. She got fired because Grok went Hitler. I don't know if that's like her problem or, buck stops with her or whatever, but yeah, not good. Not good that Grok went all Hitler yesterday. And again, I don't know how that happens. I don't know anything about it. I play with my AI, my little AI assistant here on Microsoft, my Kelly 2.0, but I don't know how it works. I don't know. I think it's a little man. I think it's a little person inside my computer. I don't know. I seriously have no idea how it works. All right, a couple of other interesting breaking news things happening today. Here's a shocker. Here's a real shocker. Might not mean much to you people, but there is a whole bunch of us in this world who are F1 enthusiasts who cannot believe the big news coming out of F1, Formula One racing. Christian Horner, the team principal of Red Bull Racing, the most dominant racing team, certainly of the last 4 years, but, going all the way back to when Red Bull Racing was founded by Christian Horner back in 2004, Red Bull Racing has been like the boss. He got fired this morning. They fired. Let me just kind of put this into perspective for some of you American sports fans. This would be like if In 2006, the Patriots fired Belichick, right? In the middle of the Patriots run, they just decided. It'd be like if in 1996, when Michael Jordan retired, remember when Michael Jordan retired for a year? It'd have been like if the Bulls had fired Phil Jackson and then just replaced. Christian Horner is like the most high profile, to be sure. He's the most high profile team principal in a sport where the team principals are all very high profile. If you're the team principal of Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, something like that, even Aston Martin or McLaren, you are a major celebrity in the sport. And of that classification, nobody was bigger than Christian Horner. Now, last year, Christian Horner, he got in a little bit of trouble. Some former Red Bull employees had filed some sex harassment suits against him. You might remember it was a big deal because the whole F1 world was like, oh my God, they can't take down Christian Horner. And guess what? They didn't. All of those charges went away. He was cleared by Formula One. He was cleared internally by Red Bull Racing. So it was over. He survived that, filmed an entire new season of F1 Drive to Survive on Netflix, which he's one of the stars of. This is really a huge deal. And here's why it's so fascinating. They're not saying why. Again, it's been a year since he was cleared in 2 different investigations of the sexual harassment stuff. And then this morning, it's just all of a sudden you're fired. Now, what has happened? Has somebody else come forward? Is this about that? Or is it, and here's my belief. This is what I think it is. A lot of people are like, oh, it's probably more sexual harassment. No, I don't think so. First of all, dude's married to Ginger Spice, Jerry Hollowell. Remember the Spice Girls? Christian Horner's wife is Ginger Spice. And let me tell you something. Ginger Spice is holding together well. She is a very sexy, elegant, sophisticated British lady. She is. Sassy. All right. Anyway, that's who he's married to. So here's what I think is happening. So maybe if you don't know Christian Horner and you just know very little bit about Formula One, maybe the name Max Verstappen says something. Crap, I'm sitting on my balls. Jesus, what is going on here? I'm getting seriously, am I getting like a sack rash? Oh, too much information. There's no air conditioning in here. And I'm like, I think I'm swamp assing it. And I'm starting to get a discomfort there underneath my sack. Too much information. Not necessarily the taint area, but I was sitting on my sack, which sorry, ladies, but we understand that. What was I? So Max Verstappen, who is like the driver, the champion, he's 4-time Formula One driver champion, right? He's like the boss. He's the LeBron of Formula One driving. Well, he works for Horner. He works for Christian. Christian Horner's his boss. It's like Tom Brady, Bill Belichick kind of a thing. And they have not been getting along. And most notably, Verstappen's dad, Joss Verstappen, has been like going public like Christian Horner sucks. And it's been really weird. So this year is the first year in, 4 consecutive years that Red Bull and Christian Horner and Max Verstappen are neither going to win the manufacturers or the Constructors' Cup or the Drivers' Championship. They're not going to win this year. They're still very powerful, but they ain't dominating the way they used to. And they fired Christian Horner. Anyway, there you go. This is a big story in the world of F1. Got to find out exactly why. I think it was Max Verstappen. I think Max Verstappen and his dad decided that now was the time, midway through the 2025 season, when Red Bull is already out of it for the first time in years. Red Bull hasn't been out of the champions race this early in probably 15 years since they were formed. I mean, even when Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton were dominating, it was still Red Bull was in second place, right on their heels the whole time. All right, anyway, there's the big story out of F1 today, one that shocked me. Christian Horner has been fired from Red Bull Racing. Oh, and by the way, don't worry. It's not like, oh, poor Christian Horner. Here's what this dude's going to do. This would be like, again, if they fired Phil Jackson in 96 or if they fired Bill Belichick, it's not like he's never going to work again. He is going to be the highest paid team principal. There's going to be a bidding war for this guy. Not at Mercedes and not at Ferrari and maybe not at, trying to think McLaren or any of the really big ones. But I'll tell you what, here's where I think Christian Horner needs to go. the United States of America is finally entering F1. That's right. We've got a team, and we're entering next year. And I know we've got a team principal, but maybe we can fire the no-name and we can pick up the great Christian Horner. How amazing would it be if Christian Horner from Red Bull became the team principal of Andretti Cadillac? How cool would that be? Yeah, Cadillac is the American brand that's going to race in F1. They're going to make a really fast Cadillac. It'll be cool. And Mario Andretti and Michael Andretti and all of them, they're involved in it's Andretti Global, and they're running a Cadillac in F1. And it is my belief that after taking 1 year off, I think there will be 1 year where Christian Horner goes and does TV. He's going to be, like what, they do when big in-demand coaches and shit go missing from their team. They end up on TV for a year and then they go back. And I think it'll be in year 2 of Andretti Global's Cadillac F1 team that Christian Horner comes in to take them to the next level. That's what I believe. Let's see. What else do we got? You guys want to go through a list? Here's something we can talk about. It's 3:50. It's almost 4. Yeah. You know what? Let's wrap it. Let's call it a show. Cause first of all, I gotta go run somewhere. Gotta go run somewhere. Then I gotta come back here. And then we gotta do Shock House tonight. 6:00 Shock House. I don't know if we're going to stream it live or what. Maybe. I don't know. Be lucky if you follow me, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Maybe we'll do a live stream. I don't know what we're doing. I do know this. I appreciate you guys. I also appreciate our executive producer of today's show. Thank you so much, Barney. It's very nice. Very nice of you. Barney is our executive producer. If you want to be the executive producer tomorrow, all you got to do is drop the biggest tip of the day, which means all you got to do is tip the show because we average about 0 tips a day. So if you're the only person to tip, you may be the executive producer tomorrow, and we do appreciate that. Okay, love you guys. Again, coming back later tonight with a little Shock House where we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. What's on the list for Shock House? Hold on. Let me see. What are some things that I want to get into on Shock House today? Golf fight. Oh, my God. All right, so a couple of weeks ago on Shock House, we started a new segment, Golf Fights, where we're just going to show fights. A lot of fights occur on golf courses, and there's a lot of raw video. We've got a new one featuring a celebrity golf fights tonight on Shock House. We'll do that. Also, I want to talk a little bit about high school parties on Shock House. Because of this, I told you at the start of the show, Trainwreck, the series on Netflix, the latest installment of Trainwreck is Trainwreck, The Real Project X, which is the story of a high school Sweet 16 birthday party in the Netherlands that got way out of control. All right, so I want to talk about high school parties. We'll do that tonight. They got stuff. They got sportsy stuff, and, we'll find out how many calories Keith has ingested. Keith eats like 50 million calories a day, and he still only weighs 52 pounds. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, all that coming up tonight on Doc Draft. That's right. That was the one I wanted to do. Okay, thank you. We're going to do a snake draft. We're going to do a snake draft where I there's 3 of us. I'll pick first, then CC will pick, and then Keith will pick. And then Keith will pick again, so he'll get 2 in a row, and then it will go back up, and then that's a snake draft. We're going to do a snake draft today of the best sports documentaries. That's right. I don't care if you're pulling from Untold. I don't care if you're pulling from 30-30, 30 for 30. I don't care where you're pulling it from. Coming up tonight on Shock House. We're going to do all that stuff. High school parties, snake draft of the greatest sports docs. Now, you might be wondering, Pugs, why are you so interested in sports docs? Because I seriously, over the last week since 4th of July weekend, I've been doing nothing but watching sports docs. Love them. All right, so all that and more coming up on tonight's edition of Shock House with me and the Sports Bras, CC and Keith. All right, guys, tip the show if you can. If not, I understand. I love you. Bye.